Fifth grade, today in geography, we're going to have a PowerPoint presentation on Ethiopia, which will be the country you'll do some reading about and then fill in the blanks on. And I thought to begin today, we'd start with some of these countries, what they are. Here's the map that you labeled with your assignment on Wednesday, starting with number 31 and 32 and 33 and so on. Um, and I thought I'd give you the names, and maybe you can check your spelling with your map sheet as you go. Number 31 was Eritrea, means red land. You see the colors there represented, the different ethnic groups over there. Number 32 was Djibouti. And again, you can read what the colors stand for on there. Each of their colors, like our United States, has meaning in their colors, but very poor land, Djibouti, almost all desert. 33 was Somalia. It's a country with Eritrea and Ethiopia that make up the Horn of Africa. We'll talk about more of that later. Again, not very good land. You see camels. Ethiopia, this is the country we'll be talking about this time. Comes from the word meaning sunburned or burnt faces. And again, the colors there symbolizing different things, all the way down to that blue disc in the center of the flag here that represents peace. So 34 is Ethiopia. 35 is Kenya. Getting to more mountainous land now. And again, you can see the colors. Got that interesting shield here with two spears on it, representing different things that you see above. And over here, you see what a house looks like in the rural setting of Kenya. Way different than our houses. Some of you live in the country, and we don't live in that. 36 is Uganda. Interesting little crane here, the national symbol. Again, notice the rural house of number 36. 37, Rwanda, very small country. But what's interesting to me about them is that they have these three groups of people called Hutu, Tutsi, Twa. They are pygmy people. Remember the pygmies? Very, very short people, no taller than 5 feet, all shorter, which means most of you are taller than them. 37, Rwanda. 38, Burundi, another small country right underneath Rwanda on your map. I love their stars here, the red and then just the green outline. Maybe you can see that if you look closely at the video. Their motto, unity, work, and progress. And of course, those three little groups, stars right there, those three people again, the Hutu, Tutsi, Twa, are pygmy people. So Rwanda, Burundi, and we know they're in the DRC as well, those pygmy, very, very short. And here you see a whole bunch of people getting out of that country. They don't want to be part of the government, making them go into the army, so they're looking for a better life, getting out. 39, Tanzania, another country that we'll be reading more about in our books later on next week. Rural homes, so different, much poorer than what we have in the United States. And you can see the colors, green, black, yellow, and blue. And up on top, you can read that. Comoros, number 40, an island nation, 4 main islands. And you can see the 4 things there. Over here, they have different ones and what each of the colors stands for. Over here, we have a crescent moon. That means Islam, which are the Muslims. They worship a god named Allah, so a false god. And they have a Bible called the Quran, a prophet called Muhammad. 41, most of you have heard of that island country. You probably knew this when you labeled them. Madagascar, the lemurs. Very famous, and most of you recognize this lemur on the bottom. 42, Mauritius, another island country in the Indian Ocean. Yellow standing for the bright future that they think coming forward, and the green vegetation that you see over here, the livestock are on. 43, a hard one. I just pronounce it Seychelles. If you listen to Google, they'll tell you way different. Lots of different islands. That's why it's called an archipelago. Archipelago means a whole number of islands to make up the country, not just one. So archipelago. They think there's about 115, but only 40 islands are lived on or inhabited. And they are known for their giant tortoises, these land turtles. But again, interesting flag. Very nice. Now, for today, Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a word, as I said before, from sunburn, but notice a tradition in their country. Over here, you have the Mersey women. They like to stretch their lips, putting a disc in it. And they'll do it to their ears too. If you look at this lady's ear, and they love to do their different hairstyles. And she has the blue dye and the white dye in the front part here of her hair. So notice the ear being stretched and the lips being stretched. Here's the location of it. It's a landlocked nation, and it makes up what's called the Horn of Africa, and we'll show you a picture of that in a little bit. Here's the Great Rift Valley that we'll be talking about, kind of divides it right in half. Over here, the Ethiopian highlands. This would be the Somali highlands with some islands. Deserts along the edge on the eastern side. So, a lot of different things. And here's little Lake Tana that began the Blue Nile that we've talked about. They have different religions, but these people called animists on the bottom here, they believe spirits rule the world. They put a lot of white paint on their faces and powder. Maybe you've seen that in some videos. And they do dances to scare the spirits away. Animist. We're glad God has opened our eyes and softened our hearts so that we believe in the one true God. And these animists do not believe in Jehovah God. One of the things in this region, they have what are called the big five animals, and you'll see those on different videos too going forward. They're the most difficult to hunt on foot. They refer to the big five: the leopard, the lion, the elephant, the water buffalo, not the bison, and then the rhinos, the rhinoceros. So the big five. Ethiopia is one of the oldest nations in Africa, one of the four that you had in your notes quiz many weeks ago. Ethiopia, along with Somalia and Djibouti, make up a section called the Horn of Africa. And over here, the map coming up from outer space that looks like the horn of an animal sticking out, like a cow horn off the edge of its head. If you imagine the eyes, like right here in Ethiopia, another eye, this would be a horn sticking out. So Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea all make that up. Great Plateau, I mentioned it before, runs right down the center and goes through Kenya and into Tanzania. That divides it into two plateaus that you'll read about in today's reading, the Ethiopian and Somali. And then we have deserts along the eastern side. Main religions in Ethiopia, three of them in this country. Coptic, you haven't heard of that. You'd say, well, we're Christians. Yeah, we're Reformed Christians. They have Coptic Christians. It's a religion that came out of Egypt. And I'll have a little more notes on it. There's the Muslims. They follow Allah. Islam is the religion. And Muhammad is a prophet. And Quran is the Bible. And then, as I just mentioned in the previous slide, animist. They believe spirits rule the world. And they do their dances to keep the spirits away. Coptic Christians, way different than us, hold the 7 sacraments. And we'll talk about how many we hold in just a second. They have a sacrament called baptism like we do. Confirmation of a spirit, we don't. Confession of their sins, no. Yes, Lord's Supper, we have that one. Marriage or matrimony, no. Priesthood is a sacrament, and they even have for the sick. What are really sacraments, you might ask? Well, sacraments are holy, visible signs that seal to us the promise of the gospel. The gospel is the chief means of grace, the preaching, and the sacraments seal unto us that promise that we are saved through the one death, complete sacrifice on the cross that paid for all our sins. And as I mentioned, we hold the 2 sacraments, baptism and the Lord's Supper. The land in this area is different than all the rest. Most of the rest was deserts and tropical rainforest. Well, now we got high mountain peaks. There's Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest peak. It's found in Tanzania. Mount Kenya, second highest peak, is found in Kenya. And then my favorite, Mount Ruwenzori, the mountains of the moon. They have the white part on top. So 3 high mountain peaks. Major lakes also in this region. Lake Rudolph, also sometimes called Lake Turkana, is found up on the top, up here. Then you have Lake Albert right here. Lake Edward, Lake Kivu, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi down here, Lake Victoria, the largest one that they have, and then I mentioned up in Ethiopia, Lake Tana, which is the beginning. So lots of lakes. Normally in Africa, not many unless it's behind a dam. The Great Rift Valley, here's that running through, and I mentioned how it divides Ethiopia into two mountainous plateaus. Very unusual landform, part of God's creation, probably made with the flood. Geologists say it was caused by a volcanic fault or a crack in the Earth's crust. Starts down here in Tanzania and goes all the way up. A lot of lakes found in that region. Over here too, we mentioned names of those lakes. You can go back to the previous one. It's very similar to our Grand Canyon in the United States. So main crops, Ethiopians make their living by farming. One of the main crops is teff. Wheat can be grown where many other crops can't. In the dry ground, teff is suited for a nomadic or moving from place to place in Ethiopia and Eritrea. Ethiopians love it. A crop raised to feed livestock, like we do field corn, they grow dura, and their livestock would consider of cattle, sheep, goats, donkeys, and chickens. The last emperor to rule Ethiopia was a man named Haile Selassie. He ruled from 1930 to 1974. Here's a picture of him. He ruled until the military took over the government. In 1974, it ended unemployment. Unemployment means you don't have any jobs. Rising inflation, where cost of buying an item was going way up. Like for me, I could buy a candy bar when I was young at about 10 cents, and now a candy bar costs about $2. Famine, yeah, no crops equals no food for the people equals starvation. So the people were not living. They wanted a better life. Those problems are not easy for governments to solve. He died when he was 82 years old. Today, the leader of their government is called a prime minister, Abiy Ahmed. And a short video about him we'll watch.
This is Ethiopia's young prime minister, Abiy Ahmed, and he's really popular right now, inside and outside Ethiopia. They call it Abimania. He was only elected 3 months ago, and in that time he has taken groups of the terror list, released political prisoners and journalists, and ended the state of emergency. He has even extended an olive branch to Ethiopia's regional rivals, Eritrea and Somalia. So who is this guy and where did he come from? The son of a Christian mother and a Muslim father, Abiy Ahmed is Ethiopia's first Oromo prime minister. The Oromos are Ethiopia's largest ethnic group, but have long struggled at the heavy hand of Ethiopia's security apparatus, as well as due to political and economic marginalization. The Oromo language and culture was also banned in 1941, and their identity stigmatized. The Oromo Liberation Front emerged in 1973 to fight for the right to self-determination. So, between Emperor Haile Selassie and Derg, the Oromos were dehumanized, demonized, and humiliated. And if you're Oromo, you're not allowed to go to college. You're not allowed to serve in any kind of public office unless you're very loyal to the regime of the emperor. It was under this atmosphere Ahmed joined the Ethiopian military, swiftly rising to become head of cyber intelligence. In 2010, Ahmed entered politics. After being elected to the House of Representatives, he rose to the cabinet, but then stepped down to lead the Oromo People's Democratic Organization. OPDO is a part of Ethiopia's multi-ethnic ruling coalition, but historically has only played a minor part. PM Ahmed was elected earlier this year to lead the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front with a strong mandate, and he hasn't wasted any time making his views known. He believes that EPRDF owes to the Ethiopia, and he completely understands what has happened in the country for the last 27 years. Today, Ethiopia is Africa's fastest growing economy, but the benefits haven't reached everyone, which has created tension in the multi-ethnic country. My fear is that what Abiy is doing right now, or any quality that's being attributed to Abiy, is personal quality. It's not a governmental quality. It's not institutional quality. The political order is still the same as what it used to be 20 minutes ago. But how can Abiy overpower or outgun the system? Ahmed has been dubbed the Messiah, and his reform program has inspired hope across Ethiopia. But his quick reforms have antagonized the old guard. So will these reforms lead to a brighter future for Ethiopia, or just more tension?
Alrighty, that's the end of that film. Hopefully you enjoy reading about Ethiopia today.